Hi everybody and welcome back. This next activity that we're going to be looking at is a post-it note activity. So this, I guess, is quite broad and generic in terms of that title, but it can be used for a number of different activities, goals, and objectives. So we often use post-it notes activities for things such as setting project goals and success measures, looking at idea generation and thought starters, as well as requirements gathering. So as you can see, using post-it notes is quite versatile, and I'm sure if you've run in-person workshops, you know how versatile just using post-it notes are to capture people's thoughts and information and requirements. So some of the key tips that we would give you around conducting a post-it note activity is making sure that you leave discussion time within the group. So often when you do a post-it note activity, it's quite difficult to gauge how many post-it notes are going to be generated. But what is really important is to discuss those post-it notes that are generated. And this allows the group discussion and collaboration that these workshops are really good at capturing. We also recommend that you time box the activity, similar to what we went through as part of the workshop agenda, but making sure that people clearly know how much time they have to complete this activity so that you can move on and make sure that you gather all the information that you require. It's also very important to make sure that you provide clear instructions around the activity so that people understand what they are trying to generate. And this way, when you kind of come to theming maybe some of your post-it notes or voting or prioritizing the post-it notes, you have a clear direction and everyone's working towards the same goal because the same kind of post-it notes have been generated. We also recommend that it's good to provide examples that might not be explicitly related to the specific workshop that you're running, but it does help to provide context and give direction to those participants that might not be feeling very confident with the task, and at least gives them something that they can relate to and understand exactly what you are trying to achieve. And the last thing that we'd like to recommend is if you do have more than 6 participants, try teaming people up into groups of maybe 2 or 3, and therefore reduces your amount of discussion that you have at the end. And also you're already encouraging that collaboration as part of that process. So what you can see in front of you here is an example of project goals as a post-it note activity. What we have on the page is some clear instructions around what we would like participants to do, as well as being able to essentially find their own participant post-it notes. We also have an example goal to make sure people really understand exactly the kind of structure that we would like from those post-it notes. So in this particular example, we have to rebuild a new website with the customer at the center of all decisions. So something that's quite clear, quite a broad statement, but allows the stakeholders to really align to what a goal is. And then as we move through the page, you can see that we have essentially assigned 5 post-it notes per participant, but please make sure that you encourage your participants to only use as many or as few as they like. So if they only have 2 goals in mind, obviously that is perfectly fine. And so just making that clear to participants that they don't have to fill all 5 just because there's 5 on the page. You should also encourage them to copy and paste more post-it notes if they feel that they actually have more than 5 goals or requirements or information that they would like to input to the workshop. An alternative would be to just have 1 post-it note per participant and allow them to copy and paste them as they see fit. But in this case, we've just provided 5 so that it's easy for the participants to quickly type in the information as required. So that's the end of that activity. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next activity.